Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I am Sam Lifty Delaney. So what?
You might have detected by my slightly sombre tone there that this is an episode about death. It's the second part of the standalone episodes that we're doing over the summer holiday break, and we did one the other day all about death, and it was a lot of fun. I think, Sam, I think you'll agree. We had a really good time.
It was. I felt it was one of those episodes that was deep and rich.
Yeah, it showed all of the aspects of this podcasting endeavour. They were not just a pair of silly arses.
A couple of cunts. Some people have, we have been widely described as a pair of cunts, right?
Yeah.
And I understand why people might think that. But I think that we showed something more in our death coverage.
I mean, we always have that. It's always there. It's never far from the surface. It just rarely appears. But it did the other day, and hopefully it will again today as we discuss death. We've discussed various deaths in our families. Your grandma, of course, who you murdered at Christmas. We discussed that.
I mean, that's pretty accurate. I can't. That's basically it. Yeah.
We did talk about how you'd like to go, and I said I'd like to go fairly quickly, but at a ripe old age. I'm trying to think how old my granddad was when he went, because it was he was about 73, I think, which seems incredibly young when you think about it now, because we're all getting older.
Yeah.
But he went bang like that, heart attack. Heart just packed in, and he died in bed. And that's perfect for me. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's a heart attack in your sleep.
No fuss.
Fine. I mean, there are a lot of things to think about, like who would be around. I probably wouldn't want to die in front of, one of my kids.
You can't. Yeah, you can't choose it though, can you?
You can't. Well, there's that famous scene in The Sopranos, isn't there, where Bobby Bacala is talking to Tony and they're out fishing. And he says, when it comes, it's just you don't know about it. It's just everything turns to black, which is how a lot of people explain the mysterious ending of the whole series. They use that as a reference. Yeah. And if that is, of course, not everyone does die in that way. But if they do, if it did just switch to black, I'd be more than happy with that.
I think when he was talking about that, it's kind of that people in that job that they're in, a high percentage of them
get assassinated. Yeah.
Less so for you and I don't feel as... Do you feel as though you're assassinatable?
I could be, yeah. I mean, but probably... Yeah. I mean, I'm not at high risk. I'm not at high risk of assassination. But
do you think you're low risk, or would you say mid-risk?
I'm a mid-risk, I would say.
I'd say you're mid-risk,
yeah. You've got to think of Millwall. Do you know what I mean?
Millwall, the pharmacists.
Your Millwall. Don't forget as well my fleeting work with the Russians. Perhaps they might decide he knows too much. Yeah. Let's rub him out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I work in an office now and again as well, so I'm probably on a list somewhere.
And, of course, let's not forget the Liverpudlian contract killer.
Yes.
Who I had dealings with, who broke into my hotel room. I actually, we should get on to talking about what the closest we feel we've ever got to death is, near-death experiences. And that, I have to say, is probably the closest I've ever felt to it. I must say, no, not the closest. There's been other things with my health where I thought, fucking hell, this could go wrong. But that was a time where I thought, I think this man might kill me, because I'd been interviewing him all day and he'd been telling me fairly blithely, like sort of flippantly, about some of the killings, what he had done. And suddenly the cunt's broken into my hotel room in the middle of the night and is shouting at me while I'm in bed. And it was scary, and I thought, he's going to kill me. But I got through that. He didn't kill me. But then he started calling me up, like, later, not like later in the year, and doing, I've told you this one, but he's going, Sam, do you know that Quentin Tarantino? And I was like, well, I know who he is. I don't know him. And he went like this, don't fuck me about, lad. don't fucking hold back on me. I know you can get to him. I want him to make the film of my life, and I want you to get it in front of him, because trust me, once he hears about it, he'll want to fucking make it, right? And I was like, I cannot. I remember walking along the street with my girlfriend to the Tube one morning, because he called me at like 8:30 to pitch this, and I'm going, I can't talk to you now. I don't. But look, I'll be honest. I don't think I can make this happen. Don't fuck me about. Make it happen. And then he put the phone down.
I know you all hang around together, you lot.
Yeah, exactly.
In the show business.
And I was like, fucking hell. If I don't get fucking Quentin Tarantino somehow to make this guy's life story, he might come and assassinate me.
Yeah.
So that worried me for a little while.
The thing is, you're never at your most vulnerable other than when you're in bed, if you think about it.
Yeah.
That's when you're most prone to attack and assassination.
That's why I keep the Terminator
first of all,
right next to me.
You're lying down. You have to get yourself, if you're going to retaliate, you've got to get into a standing position.
Yeah.
And usually it means swinging your legs off the edge of the bed, putting your slippers on, reaching for your dressing gown, then getting up. And by that time, you could be gone, brown bread. So that he knew what he was doing, put it that way.
I would do a ninja leap out of bed, where you sort of lift your legs up and then flip quickly onto your feet in one move.
Use the springs of the bed to propel you upwards.
And then in the same fucking move, bang, straight in the bollocks. I shouldn't be saying this because if anyone wants to kind of try and come and kill me in my sleep, I don't want to tell them, give them too much sort of heads up about what I'm doing.
I'll edit that bit out, Sam.
Yeah, good.
I'll edit that out.
What do you feel? Have you ever felt as if you've been close to death?
I can't think of any real occasion when I've thought, oh fuck, this is it. When I was 7, I had appendicitis, and I had to have my appendix whipped out fucking quickly,
right?
Because it was about to burst, and if it had burst, then you're in big trouble. So I was probably hours away from certain death, because they said it was really inflamed and full of poison. So I guess that, but you're not really aware of death. You weren't thinking in those
terms, probably, were you?
Yeah, you're not. They tell you later on you could have died, but you don't regard death as something that's going to happen to you when you're 7, do you?
No.
So no, I don't think anything else. No, I'd be lying. I could make something up if you want.
I'm not saying. I mean, I had some when I had a lot of epileptic fits when I was younger. I wouldn't say I was like, oh, I'm dying. But I did think. I mean, there was this one night where I had 4 in one night, and it was like I couldn't stop. And I guess I was thinking, well, this is. I mean, it's an extreme experience. I mean, one epileptic fit is fucking really extreme and scary, but I kept having them, and then I'd come round, I think, oh, thank God that's over, and then suddenly I'd be out having another one. I still to this day don't really know why they kept happening, and they kept me in hospital for the weekend, and I did think, like, after I came round from like the second or third one, I thought, well, what's happening? I could die. And I actually did have a relative who died whilst having an epileptic fit, because he'd had an epileptic fit so extreme that it triggered a heart attack. Because if your body is convulsing like that, it can happen. And I was very aware of that. Because my dad used to always go on about it. He'd go, now, I won't name the bloke. It was an uncle of mine. Go, you know, because he had it in his head that the reason I had epileptic fits was because I smoked too much marijuana, which may well have been true, right? It often triggered me having fits, right? Because it makes you lightheaded. And then you pass out, and I had a tendency to, if I passed out, it would turn into a seizure, right?
Yeah.
And my dad would go, you need to lay off that stuff.
Wacky backy.
The old wacky backy. And I'd go, yeah, I suppose you're right. Thinking in my head, shut up. Right? What?
I take it to relax.
You silly
old cunt.
You silly old cunt. What would you know about it? Yeah, so what? He's what? Couple of epileptic fits a year? What's that? That's nothing. That's a fucking walk in the park, son. Right. And he'd go, because you know that your uncle had a heart attack and died. And he would say that all the time to me, and I'd be like, I really come to resent it. Stop speculating about my death. But I can see why he said it. I mean, you know, sometimes as a parent, you try to reason with a kid. If a kid isn't listening, you feel so powerless that you try to scare them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And obviously your parent is much more worried about your mortality than you are yourself. Of course,
yeah.
And but
this is the thing about being a parent now. You have not appreciated how fucking constantly worried your own parents were about you.
Yeah.
When you were growing up.
Yeah.
Because you just constantly just think, fuck, what are they doing? Where are they? What's happening?
Yeah.
Are they all right?
Well, there's a quote,
Christ.
I can't remember who it's by, it's like having a child is like giving a piece of your heart to someone else to carry around with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've probably not done that quote justice. And the other one is, you're only ever as happy as your least happy child. Have you heard that one before?
Oh, yeah.
It's true though, isn't it? Makes sense.
That's like your football team's only ever as good as its weakest player.
Yeah.
But different.
It's also a bit like you can only beat what's put in front of you. and with great power comes great responsibility.
And also, he is a generational talent.
Yeah. You can't get quicker than a quick fit fitter. Yeah, so I was worried then about dying. I was at part of my mate's birthday party when I was about 9 at Latchmere Leisure Centre in Battersea, and it was one of those swimming parties where they roped off a bit of the pool and just chucked loads of inflatables in, and it was fucking great. It's one of the best fun things I've ever done. But at one point in my state of excitement, I kind of got stuck underneath a sort of a raft, polystyrene kind of raft.
Yeah, that could happen.
But
them things are big.
Yeah, it was big, and it was just a momentary panic. There was no way I think I would have died, but I was not a great swimmer, and I just sort of went underwater, and while I was under there, this thing floated over me. So when I floated back up, I was expecting my head to come out, and suddenly it hit something, and I was like, ah! And I couldn't fucking manoeuvre myself for a moment from under this thing. And I thought I was dying. I remember for a few seconds then thinking, right, that's it. Good night, Vienna. Bye-bye, Sam. It's been a good innings. 9 solid years of fucking non-stop laughs. But now it's time to check out.
I'm never going to fulfil my ambition of working for Men's Health magazine.
Yeah, I'm never going to finger a girl. But that's fine by me because I'm 9 and the thought disgusts me. I've never smoked
girls are horrible.
I've never smoked a fag, and I've never got me that Han Solo Star Wars figure where he's in his best bin outfit, something that I have been saving for. But now those savings will probably go to my mother or one of my siblings.
I still haven't managed to perfect a wheelie. I did one once where I stayed up for a couple of seconds, but never managed to do it again.
However, I have been to McDonald's a number of times, and that was always enjoyable. I have enjoyed many afternoons stroking my dog and cat, and I have seen every episode of Dick Turpin, and therefore I have to put it down on balance as a life well lived.
Jalapeño.
I do think towards the end of my drinking, I was drinking every day, and I was drinking secretly non-stop in the morning and stuff like that, and I was doing like drugs a lot at like weird times of the day, and it was very secretive, and I didn't feel healthy. I'd stopped exercise. I used to exercise, and I'd completely stopped, and I just was generally unhealthy. And every day I would just get up and do things that were quite self-evidently hugely unhealthy. right? Because it's like a domino effect. It's like you're drinking and then you eat badly and then you stop exercising and then you're taking drugs and one thing leads to another and I started to I took a cold hard look at myself when I was 39 and I thought, I've literally done what's known as letting yourself go. And I could see that I didn't really care and I didn't have much motivation to change it. There were days where I sort of found it funny and I was chuckling to myself. And then I was walking along the street and I actually thought, this is very over dramatic, it wasn't real, but I did think to myself in a state of high drama one day, because obviously I had 2 small kids, and I thought, I think how will this end? Because I couldn't see a way out of it. I'd got into these habits that just every day I woke up thinking I won't do that today, and within an hour I was doing it. And I thought, how is this going to end now? Because I'd tried so many times to stop and failed, because I was trying on my own, because I was keeping it all a secret and I didn't ask for help, and I still wasn't ready to ask for help. So therefore I thought, well, I can't stop. So then I thought to myself, well, how will this end? And it suddenly struck me. I remember the exact part of the street, not far from where I am now, as I was walking along, fucking waddling along, right? I thought to myself, oh, this will end when I die. Yeah, and that could happen. It suddenly just dawned on me. I thought, oh yeah, this will happen when I drop dead. And that could be in a few years or a few months, or it could be today. Because you're doing a lot of stupid things whereby you could die from an accident, because you're always at risk when you're really pissed. You could just get fucking run over. Lots of people just die from, lots of middle-aged men especially just do coke and just have a fucking heart attack or a stroke just in the middle of one normal session. Do you know what I mean? It happens a lot. A lot of times when celebrities die and it's sort of vague, oh, he died suddenly, and they don't. I always think he's been on the gear and just had a fucking heart attack, right? Because it happens loads. And I was aware that it happened to people all the time. And I thought, that'll probably happen to me. And I think that may have, I can't remember what eventually got me to seek help. But I do remember then, I wouldn't say it was a near-death experience, but it was a time in which I very clearly accepted the fact that my lifestyle not definitely would kill me, but there was a high chance that my lifestyle could just kill me at any moment. Yeah. And that was sort of, so it was a melodramatic thing to think, but it was quite sobering. And looking back, it probably could have done. You can't be just going around living like that every day, because anything could happen.
Yeah. So that thing where people have a memorial service before they're even dead, so that they get to hear people getting up on stage. Some people have done it, right? So they get to hear people coming up on the stage and talking about how great they were, but before they actually become in the past tense themselves. Yeah. Would you want to do one of them, do you think?
It's tempting. Obviously, I'm someone who likes attention.
And praise.
And so obviously it's very tempting to think, oh, I could get some of that, couldn't I? But no. I've got some plans for my funeral. Been thinking about, I suppose we all think about that quite a lot. We've talked about our funerals loads on this podcast over the years. And it's an ever-evolving plan. I should probably write it down.
It's just in your head at the minute, is it?
But it feels a bit morbid to write it down and hand it to my brother just in case I die.
I could see a logistical issue with it being just in your head at this point. It depends on what happens, I suppose.
I could put it on a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And leave the link.
Just leave the link somewhere that I know it would be found.
Leave the link in your will.
Yeah, exactly.
With your solicitor. Leave a treasure map to where the link is.
There is a Google link. There is a Google Doc I have prepared. Where that Google Doc is stashed, you will find the address of the Google Doc by following the clues on this map/riddle.
It is in a thermos flask in the Northumberland woods. There are 19 flasks. 18 of them contain sausage rolls. The other one has the Google Doc link in it. that is the secret to unlocking my funeral plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't got any funeral plans. I'm going to, excuse me. I told my kids I want to get burned and not buried. That's as far as I've got. I haven't got any songs or a playlist or anything sorted out as yet. I might do that this afternoon. Excuse me. Maybe this is it. Got a frog in my
I
throat.
think
This is
a
how- this is
man
how it
with your
begins.
exacting musical tastes and extensive knowledge, I think creating a playlist for your funeral is going to be a big challenge, even for you.
Whittling it down, because otherwise it could go on for 3 hours.
I think you could get really. I think it could be what kills you. He
stress
dies
of it.
trying to create his own funeral
Yeah.
playlist.
I will. I'll do a playlist for the funeral itself, and then a playlist for the disco on the night.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Well, you know,
a bit of a dance.
as I've said before, if it happens suddenly and they can't find any details from me, very simple. Look up Cyril Regis's funeral on YouTube
Replicate that.
and just replicate that. Very simple.
As close.
Yeah.
As close as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to be as good as.
Can't make it as good as that, but I want it to be Cyril Regis themed.
Do you think Cyril Regis decreed that his funeral should be put on YouTube?
I
one of his dying wishes?
don't know, but whoever put it on there was smart because it you know,
It's been inspiring, hasn't it?
it's been inspiring to anyone who's watched it, and it's a real mood lifter.
Yeah.
Candy by Cameo. That is the song for any funeral
peak.
disco. That's the one.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Followed probably by You Should Be Dancing by the Bee Gees.
Do you think about your legacy in terms of the things that you've done and the legacy you'll leave behind once it's all over?
Like what it might say in my obituary.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. What people will say 10 years on after you've gone, if anything.
I think that on the whole, unless you've been a huge cunt, people will always say really nice things about you when you die. And therefore, I'm not even sure if it's an accurate reflection. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been reading Keir Starmer's book, right? And his dad, who, you might not know this actually, but his dad was a toolmaker, right?
Really?
Yeah, you probably don't know that because it hasn't been mentioned much. But his dad was a real fucking interesting character. I don't know if you've seen a picture of him. But
Yeah, I have.
he looks
Yeah, he
a
looks
bit
of
like a
weirdo.
sort of a Vic and Bob type character. He's got a chin strap beard and he's always really grumpy, and he only ever wore shorts and short sleeve shirts and sandals, right? He was a fucking dyed in the wool oddball, right? But he was also very grumpy and he didn't make lots of friends or anything like that, right? And at his funeral, and him and Keir Starmer had a strained relationship, right, where there wasn't a huge amount of affection, physical or verbal, really. I don't think they hated each other, but it was like one of those classic sort of male relationship. Anyway, Keir Starmer got up at his funeral, which was not that long ago, actually. I think he died in maybe 2018, 2019. He got up and he said, his opening words of his eulogy about his dad was, seeing as we're in a church, I better not lie. He was a difficult sod. Right? That was his opening line to his dad's eulogy.
Yeah.
And then I think it went on to say some positive things about him as well. But that's quite rare. It's quite rare. Most people, So what people say might not be accurate. I hope people won't say negative things, but if they say positive things, it won't be the full picture. But I suppose be remembered
do you
for the
worry
good things you've
about
done. I suppose my legacy is my kids. And that's it, really. I mean, what more do you want? Is all you want to leave behind is love. Do you know what I mean? If you've loved people and therefore made them feel good about themselves, then that's it.
All I think is, are you leaving the world a better place than you found it? Do you know what I mean? obviously you're going to make mistakes along the way. People are going to get hurt. People are going to get seriously injured now and again. People might die. But
people are going to get sparked out from time to time. If they cross it, but only if they cross a line.
Yeah. And it's up to you to decide where that line is. And it's a shifting line.
Yeah.
It moves from day to day.
Yeah, it's fluid.
Depending on your mood. But have you left the world a better place than you found it? And if you have, then...
Well, I was born in 1975, where there was a lot of issues with industrial action.
And the IRA were prevalent
There was the IRA. There was I'm not sure what year the 3-day week was, but it was certainly... There was an energy crisis. Andy, we'd had to go cap in hand to the IMF, right? So all I'm saying is...
it was the Queen's cap as well.
Yeah, and I'm saying... I'm not saying that I've been personally responsible for fixing some of those problems that we faced, and God knows the country's...
No, of course not.
If I died today, the country's not in a much better state than it was then. But I am hoping that it's not... What I'm saying is, it's not... If I'd been born in 1996, during Euro 96, that would be hard to say, oh, I'm going to leave the world a better place than how I found it, because it's never going to get better than that, is it?
Well, yeah, let's say you were born in 96 as well. The Good Friday Agreement happened in 97. You can't take any responsibility for that because you're just one.
I was just a baby.
You're not going to say... You're silly to say, but having been born in 75, you can say that, yes, I did contribute
because I spoke out about, Ireland and, its right
in the pub.
I'd spoken out about Ireland's right to be self-governing, right? And for us to find sustainable ways of both the communities to live together in peace, right?
Yeah.
And for Ireland to be Northern Ireland to be given greater autonomy. And I'd said it around. I wouldn't say I didn't have a platform then. I didn't have a platform. I was a young man, but I had said it around after a few drinks. I'd said it in the pub or at university, or sometimes I'd just said it, I don't know, to my girlfriend. She didn't seem interested, but I helped spread the word in my own small way. So, in concluding answer to your question, my legacy will be peace in Northern Ireland,
your contribution, it's like the butterfly effect, isn't it? A butterfly flaps its wings, or a Londoner flaps his gums in a pub somewhere, maybe in Brighton when you were studying, but then the ripple effect...
People probably
goes out across the world.
I've got a very loud voice. I probably would have been that very loud student in the corner of a pub annoying everyone by going, well, actually, I think Ireland should belong to the Irish, right? And someone, like most people thought, what a cunt. But there might have been one person who just thought, do you know what? He's got a point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might have been Mo Molam, who, of course, played a huge role in that peace process. She might have been there and thought, do you know what?
She might have been down there visiting
the
relatives.
That young lad's very passionate, and he makes a good point, and I'm going to...
I'll take what he says.
Yeah.
I'll go with that, I'll see if I can do anything about that.
She died, of course. She died relatively young.
She's left a legacy.
Good legacy, yeah.
Definitely. She left the world a better place than she found
Robin
it.
Cook died. That was mysterious, don't you think?
Yeah, he was on a hill, wasn't he?
Fucking mysterious. Especially when you think about, he was foreign secretary around just before the invasion of Iraq. There was a huge amount of mystery around that. And what was the inquiry called? I can't remember. But...
Watergate.
Yeah. And you got... I don't know. It was weird. He'd quit, hadn't he, in objection.
Well, who was the guy with the dossier, the sexed up dossier?
Yeah.
Was he called David? David Beard? He had a beard as well, and he died outdoors.
He died.
I'm just
Dr.
saying.
David Kelly.
Dr. David Kelly.
He died.
Died outdoors.
And Robin Cook died.
Both had beards.
It was fucking weird. So,
They say lightning can't strike twice. Well, gentlemen, I think you'll find that it has.
Yeah. That is weird. And there was other people that died as well, I think, around that.
Yeah, they didn't have beards, though.
And all I'm saying is this. Alistair Campbell now is rumoured to be making millions from his podcast, The Rest is Politics.
Yeah. Go figure, as they say.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, there we are. We'll leave it there. I think we've covered death and other topics over the last 30 minutes or so. We'll probably have another one of these single issue topics coming along soon, and hope you find it informative and maybe entertaining. Thanks for listening, and as they say when you die, that's that.
That's that.